I wouldn't sympathize a bit. My dad was murdered. By 5 people, 2 of which were teenagers. They tried to kidnap me when I was 14.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, if he gets you out of this car, that's it. You have to do something now. Just
How
have
do you say water?
Water. A Jamaican accent.
Is that a Jamaican part?
Yeah.
Water.
Well, I remember we stopped in, I don't think it's North Korea.
Definitely not North Korea.
Exactly.
Stop in North Korea. So, Natasha, thank you. How do we meet? It was just you walked up to Holly and was like, "I have a baby."
Yep, I know. So they've never met my little baby. Her name is Eloise. She's 3 months, which I don't know where time goes.
Yeah.
And we were having brunch, so I said, "Hey, let's go over to Holly and Jake." And I saw them outside. I was like, "Perfect, they can meet the baby." And then we were there, and we ended up talking for I don't know how long.
It was
and
wild.
I see my husband in the background going, "All right, I'm sweating. I need to get out of this heat now." I was like, "All right, we have to go."
That's what I said to Stace. I'm like, because I get over. I'm like, have you noticed that 90% of relationships, there's one loud one quiet one. I'm the loud one.
You can't have 2 loud ones.
No, and
unless you're at Thanksgiving and you're with your Jamaican, Puerto Rican family, because then everyone's loud, and if you don't scream louder than the person beside you, you'll never be heard. So I dated a guy once, and we're at the Thanksgiving, we're eating, and everyone's talking, and like you could probably hear my family if you were to crack the door open, maybe a mile down the street, because Jamaicans are loud and Puerto Ricans are louder. Or actually, I don't know who's louder, but anyways, so he's trying to talk, and I see him doing this.
You just gotta go. I'm like,
you have to yell, or else no one's gonna stop and listen to you. So, yeah.
Sometimes you have to though, but it's like I haven't been in those environments yet. I'm always the loud one, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I'm
everyone.
super loud.
It's good though.
And I have a laugh. I actually won the weirdest laugh at my high school prom.
Really? Mm-hmm. Hopefully we can crack that out this one.
Yeah, I've changed it ever so slightly. Probably
Why?
Because of trauma. I laughed like a witch, like legitimately.
Really?
Like yeah.
Like a cackle?
I was a cackle. No, my friends now.
Did you do the fingers with it as well?
Possibly, depending on how funny you are. But my friends still claim I cackle, but I don't think it's not as witchy as it was. But it's something. I will admit.
That's funny. So, for people who haven't met the awesome Natasha, tell them who you are, what you do. We'll shoot the shit and we'll see where it goes.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Let's see. I wear many hats, but I've been racing cars for quite some time, maybe since I was 18. I'm 35 now, so quite a while.
Isn't that wild when you think about that? Like high school was half a lifetime ago.
And you know what? When I try and I'm like, oh yeah, 10 years. And I'm like, no, Natasha, you're a little older than that.
Well, the year 2000 was 22 years ago.
I know.
What the fuck?
I remember in 2000, everyone's like, hide the computer, take it out, plug it out, they're going to.
Y2K disease.
Exactly. The world's going to disappear. So I've been racing cars, and I've done it primarily in the Caribbean. I did go-karting. I've done rally. I was the first woman in the Caribbean to campaign a Group N car, which is like a turbocharged 4-wheel drive car. I did circuit. So I've raced for Honda, the Jamaican beer Red Stripe. We did a couple of collaborations. So I've been lucky enough to have a great career in racing and traveled. And then most recently, we went to Thailand and to break a Guinness World Record. That's a whole nother story in itself, how I got that. That was very serendipitous. But my life has been cars for the most part. My grandfather used to... he loved classic cars, so he would rebuild old Jaguars. So I grew up kind of around that and his passion, and then I got into racing. And then work-wise, I used to do marketing for the automotive industry, so Honda, VW, Jaguar Land Rover, Audi. So did that. So I'm pretty much cars. I love cars. And it's nice because I've been passionate about cars since I was a kid. So to be able to have that, and do fun events around cars, it's been cool, and I've been very lucky And then just had a kid, so I had to. My husband's like, okay, well, you can't race right now. You can't. We can't buckle you up with your belly. So I'm like, all right, let me try and find something fun to do now. So I just I started interior design, which is something.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just a very creative person. I can't sit behind a desk. It's draining for me. I have to be out. I love to solve problems. I love to talk to people and to find different ways to make things work, and that's events. And then with interior design, it's a creative aspect. So yeah, I enjoy it.
So you didn't think of doing interior design for cars?
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool. But you can't do anything too crazy in a Kia, so your target market's a little. And I'm not a big fan of powder blue Bentleys, so I don't know. It might be hard.
Really? I just saw a Bentley. Actually, it was probably powder blue.
Powder blue.
Yeah.
There's a couple of them around.
Wow, this was completely written off. The whole front of the car was missing. I don't know what happened.
Probably 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock. Happy hour, and didn't stop. In Naples, you have to be very careful about that.
People suck at driving here.
Yeah.
I'm like, my theory is because it's so easy to get on autopilot because everything's straight. It's such a well-organized place that it's problematic.
And people in Naples don't have the sharpest of reaction time. Being 90 and just getting your license sent in the mail because it's a auto renewal.
Yeah. Isn't that so? That's the thing that pisses me off. Where they're like, well, no, we're experienced. It's like, all right, well, why don't I see any 90-year-olds in the NFL?
Yeah.
At some point, the experience.
That's the thing. They do just send your license.
Yeah.
And you have.
And then they blame 18-year-olds about being bad drivers.
Right. And no, well, the thing is, I wouldn't say bad drivers. They're very capable. They're very cautious. The thing is that if you need a certain reaction time to drive on the road, because
100%.
there is somebody that's going to turn quickly in front of you or cut you off, you need to be able to stop. And they don't have that anymore. And it's not like in Naples where everyone drives like a tiny car. These are these huge brand new cars that weigh tons that when they hit you, they hurt. So I've always had like these little 2-door convertibles. And then when I moved to Naples.
You bought big.
Yep. I was like, I got to buy an SUV.
Your car is nice. I was on the phone to my wife when you pulled in. I go, hey, I think you like Natasha's car. She's like, what is it? I'm like, matte black. And it's, what is it, a Cadillac?
It's
one of them. Okay, I think it's an Escalade. She's
That's
like,
actually, my husband would love that. That's actually his car. I'm waiting on my car. I was like, all right, well, I'm a mom now. What is a fun mom-mobile? So, funny story. We're at, this is before I ordered my car. We're at a little bar, date night, and we're chatting with a bunch of people. And I overhear my husband saying, so they're like, oh, well, you have a kid now. Which minivan are you going to buy? So my husband cackles and he goes, have you met my wife? I was like, I'm never going to buy a minivan. I'm going to have to buy probably some fast SUV thing that she'll figure out. So it's like, my friends laugh. I was like, I would, and they apparently like, there's a minivan with like a Hellcat engine or like some ridiculous amount of horsepower, and everyone's like, you should buy that. I was like, it's still a minivan. I was like, I'm not. I'll get it. So I bought like a really cool SUV, and of course I'm like putting rims on it, and
of course
I gotta be a cool soccer mom.
Yeah, that's what we're getting. We're trying to get because Stacey sees certain cars and she's like, I want that as a soccer mom car. I was like, all right, we'll get that.
Yeah, we don't need it. Actually, so I broke
but
my
what's
back.
the gas mileage? Gas mileage on those things suck, don't they?
Yeah, but where are you going? This is Naples. Our speed limits are 40 in everywhere you go.
Really?
Yeah.
Shit, I'm not going that.
Yeah, you don't.
Everything's so far away here.
True, but the another thing is that these new cars. So what I bought, and I actually don't know. It's a new technology that BMW introduced. It's like they have a small hybrid engine, so it has a small electric motor. So they're going away with like the eco stuff. So it's a small electric motor that, for your first few RPMs and the low gears, I believe. I might be wrong because I'm not sure of the technology. But it just helps you go from 0 to a certain mileage. And that's where you burn the most gas. Because think about this heavy... Exactly. Think about this heavy car and you put your foot on the gas. That's where it takes all that energy to move forward. So they're using like a hybrid, system where it gets you going. So these new cars, I mean, it's crazy the technology now. And they are pretty... fuel efficient. I mean, it's not a Tesla. You do burn gas.
Yeah.
But
I want the Cybertruck so bad.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine that really wanted it, and he actually put it on order. Are they
whole
still making it?
I don't know. I put my $100 down, really break the bank.
Right.
And it was meant to come out December 2020. He's a little bit behind.
Right.
Just a little.
Just a little.
Just a little. And
he knows how to get people's money, boy, I tell you.
That guy, even so, when he threw the baseballs at the glass.
Was it baseballs? Yeah, and it broke, and it's supposed to be bulletproof.
That was deliberate. That was like,
you think so?
You think about it. One, Elon Musk, not an idiot.
Right.
And I just don't believe he does anything by accident.
Sure.
And you got to think too is the best way to market for free is fail.
It's to fail, yeah.
Because all the haters will comment about how stupid it is.
Good press is
it's just press.
Yeah.
Because you've got the people that are never going to buy it anyway going, look how stupid he
Which
is.
are
And
most people.
And now they're marketing it. But then you got people like me who are like, well, I know he'll figure it out before he sells them.
For sure.
So there is no chance in hell that was accidental.
Well, with this whole Twitter thing, everyone's like, yeah, no, everyone's playing checkers. This guy's playing chess. He's like, way ahead.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
And he also the fact he was so blasé about it is like, I
saw his reaction. Although,
and then the next one, then he goes, I'll try the next one. It's like, now
broke.
I know you're doubling down. Oh, well, we'll fix it before it's on sale.
Right.
It's like, I know what you're doing.
Here's
my $100.
We just watched that documentary about SpaceX with Elon Musk, and they failed so many times before. And the time that they actually succeeded, I think it was their fourth try, and you could tell because he, like you said, he doubled down. And I love, if I was to save one billionaire, Elon Musk or Bezos, I'd be like, I'll take Elon Musk all day. Bezos, great. You're all jacked up and you're on a yacht. But Elon, he has some grit. You could tell that
he's also part alien.
Right? But you can tell that he put his last dollar into SpaceX. There's a scene in the documentary where you can see his head between his legs, and he's like, this has to work, But a person like that, that even if they're broke today, they're going to make it back tomorrow.
That's the thing. If you've done the path once, you can do it again.
Right. But it's cool that he really did double down and he put everything he had into something he was passionate about. That was really cool. That was my takeaway from the documentary. I'm an Elon Musk fan, not Bezos fan.
Yeah. I love it too. The whole Twitter thing, he was never going to buy Twitter. It was a marketing ploy.
Exactly. But you know what? Now you know how many bots there are, and he's trying to find out where they originated from. So I think it's great.
Yeah.
They need more accountability.
And that's the thing. He can put in the second I knew that he wasn't going to buy it was when he said, "You're not being transparent about this thing," and I was like, "Oh, he's trying to find out information. He's not trying to actually buy it." And he's trying, but in an attempt to do it, he can expose it for free. He doesn't have to pay $43 billion or whatever it was.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's like I said. Everyone's playing chess. He's playing. Everyone's playing checkers.
He's playing 4D chess.
Right. I love it. No,
Yeah.
we need that. I mean, what social media is doing, to people and how they can, funnel what you see. It's pretty scary.
Yeah. Well, have you ever done? So I can't remember the book I read, but they were talking about how even with Google, if you go on Google and you search gay couple, fine, all gay couple images, and you go to Google Images. If you search straight couple, they pepper in a lot. It's 50-50 gay couples and straight couples. So, and the way they get around it is some sort of, I don't know what it is, but it's in this thing of showing diversity, they only show diversity in one direction. If you search white couple,
right,
they pepper in a lot of different ethnicities. You search Hispanic couple,
it's only
you just see Hispanic.
Yeah.
So,
and then there's me where I Googled white, when I was pregnant, I tried to Google all of our races with my husband. Nothing came up. So there could be me where you Google something and literally Google's like, I don't know.
I'm out of ideas.
I broke Google. So my mom's Puerto Rican, my dad's Chinese Jamaican, and then my husband's Minnesotan. So it's Puerto Rican, Chinese, Jamaican, and then white.
Well, how dumb is the name Caucasian?
Right.
How, like, we're Caucasian.
I know. It's like, no, he's Minnesotan. He's his, you know, I always laugh. I was like, before he met me, you know, black pepper and salt was seasoning to him, you know, and then he got an ulcer. He had an ulcer for the first year that we dated because I love to cook. And, you know, Jamaican food is very spicy, lots of seasoning, lots of salt.
So delicious.
Very delicious. He loves Jamaican food. He does not like ackee. For those who don't know what's
ackee?
Ackee is like it's our national fruit. It's yellow. And it's a breakfast. You can have it any time of day, but it's typically a breakfast. And you have it like with like fried dumpling. It's delicious.
Really?
It's delicious.
I'll have to
It's
try
making
it.
me hungry. That's the only thing he doesn't like, but he loves everything else. Jerk, curry. He loves
I had jerk chicken for the first time in New Orleans.
In New Orleans.
I'm
okay.
Australian, mate.
Yeah, it's okay.
I have plenty of Thai food.
Right.
Thai is, what is it? We have a joke in Australia, and this is going to sound racist. It's racial, not racist. The Thai population is the Mexicans of Australia. Like, it's like, you know how in Australia...
It's that side, yeah.
Yeah, like in America, Mexican cuisine is like the most common non-white food here.
Right.
It's like in Australia,
Right.
it's Thai. Like everywhere is
good Thai food, yeah.
Yeah. Everywhere is Thai food, and sushi is catching up very quickly.
Really?
You know?
That's weird that it's so far behind.
Yeah. I don't know.
Do
Maybe.
they have like is it like a lot of fusion Thai, like how we have it here in
No,
Naples?
we don't do fusion.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys
That's
love
like an
your
American
sushi
thing.
Thai. Yeah.
That's an American thing.
America, when I first visited West Virginia where my in-laws are, that was my first thing. I'm like, why does America just fucking join everything? It's like sometimes having an individual is what keeps it great.
Right.
And like, so I'd go shopping and it'd be like, you know, small
How can we sell this to more people?
Yeah, it'd be like chocolate peanut butter pretzel bites. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Just choose one.
Right. Just choose one thing and make it good.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
But it's like, it's always, something has to
And then
match
it's like
it.
both of them are mediocre at best.
Exactly. Yeah, they're never good when you're like, the only thing when they're good is like a Reese's peanut butter cup.
Right.
But they're only two things.
Right.
As you know?
The 3 or 4 is a little much.
And sushi Thai, I'm not a fan at all because I'm just
Not
like,
really.
when you go to a Thai place and that's their expertise, it's great.
Right.
You go to sushi, it's great.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you're, you know, it's like, hey, where'd you go for lunch? I went for sushi Thai. It was a 10 out of 10.
Everyone says 10 out of 10. They throw that shit around.
No, it's
like
not.
I'm a coffee snob and I'm gonna shit all over Starbucks.
Oh, so do I. This
Okay,
is burnt.
good.
But
Yeah.
it was on the way, and I just started keto today, and so I didn't have coffee. I was like, I need something to take me through this.
Well,
this is horrible.
This is what I have during podcasts.
Oh God, I can't.
It's terrible. It's not good for you. This is not health advice.
Yeah.
But I find it's like a slow release adrenaline shot for at least, you know,
Right.
especially I've done like 2 podcasts today. So it's like 4 hours of talking. I'm
Holy
gonna do
moly.
it,
Yeah.
You know? So I need this slow thing where
You
it's just,
must really like talking.
yeah. I do.
That's crazy.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
I
the
need it.
people you meet. Like the guy we had before, I swear ads are like Facebook ads are usually how I meet people here. I get an ad and I'm like, that's an interesting person or business. Hey, do you want to be on the podcast? So
That's cool.
Last guy was Jared. He does he's a chiropractor that also does like holistic stuff like red light
Cool.
therapy, cryo, muscular awareness and stuff. And it was great because I was like, this was
Learned a
so
lot.
detailed.
Yeah.
But then like I'll have like this episode is like just wild energy. Like you just don't know what's gonna happen, you know? It's like a
Really?
firecracker.
A wild energy? My coffee's this full. Wait till we're down
Fuck.
here. You're like, woo!
We'll just be raging. I'll be 5 hours into my fire
Oh my
energy.
God.
That is
Yeah.
wild though, like what they got here.
Yeah,
Jeez,
I couldn't.
I
So
told-
when I used to race, my I would have like a routine. It would be a thing of Pepsi, a thing of Red Bull, and then water. And then a thing of Pepsi, a thing of Red Bull, and a thing of water. Because you can't just
How do you say water?
Water. My Jamaican accent. Yes,
Is that a
everyone.
Jamaican part?
Yeah.
Water.
So Jamaican proper English is the Queen's English. So the way that we pull our vowels is very English.
Water.
Yeah, water.
Water.
So yeah,
Really?
yeah, it's weird.
That is
And I mean, I speak proper. I've been up here for a while. My family's American. So I speak proper English, but when I go to Jamaica, so because my husband and I got married in Jamaica, he can't understand a word that I say.
really.
Yeah, like the week that we got back, I remember
It's
we're
funny
sitting
because I
outside.
can hear the Jamaican accent now, but when I first met you, I was like Filipino/Thai.
Right? Yeah, no,
Not even close.
Chinese. My dad's
Whoa.
full Chinese
Really?
and my mom's full Puerto Rican.
Interesting.
Yeah, my dad hit way over his level. My mom was hot. My mom's still hot. And like my dad's this little 5-foot Chinaman that just speaks like, just imagine, close your eyes. Imagine a full Jamaican with a thick accent, and then you open your eyes, you see a 5-foot Chinaman. You're like, what? What's going on here?
So he has a full thick accent.
Thick.
So a small Asian guy, a Chinaman.
Yep.
Am I allowed to say Chinaman?
Yeah.
You know what, I'm gonna say it.
Yeah.
I'm in presence.
So that's a whole
so he has
other
like a
thing.
full.
with-
You're right, man.
full- yeah.
You're
I
right, man.
have no idea what that was.
Isn't that like you
No.
good? You're good, man.
No.
What accent is that?
I have.
I don't fucking know.
bootleg Jamaican.
Yeah. Well,
It's like sushi Thai.
look, you got a white Aussie trying to be Jamaican.
I know.
You should see when I try and speak Spanish, because I'm learning Spanish,
Right.
and they're just, I'm like,
My husband's trying to learn.
yeah, quiero hablar.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like, what the fuck?
Exactly.
Did you, say?
You
I'm
sound
like,
horrible.
Hey,
But that's okay. You're trying.
Yeah.
My mom's Puerto Rican and 3 of her kids don't speak Spanish. So, hey, knock yourself out. But anyway, so we got married in Jamaica. The week after we come back, I'm talking to him. I probably was talking for a good 5 minutes. He looks at me with a blank stare. He goes, babe, the only word that I heard was mosquito. And I'm like, what? He goes, you talk, because we talk fast and then we have a thick accent. So he did not understand anything I said. So I was
Really?
like, okay, all right. And then, it just kind of
That makes sense though, because when you hear again, Spanish people, or Hispanic, bro, they whisper.
Which Spanish people whisper?
It's more like whenever I hear them speak, it's all of a sudden I'm like, I barely can hear you, let alone understand you. And I'm trying to learn.
I'd love to know those people because it's not my family.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, it just seems like everyone I speak, every time I try and,
But it's all jumbled together. We do speak very fast.
But that's every English, every language. Like, could you imagine learning English? You're like a year in,
Right.
And they're trying to listen to this conversation.
Right.
Good fucking luck.
I guess that's
know?
true. Okay, all right. Point taken. Yes, you are right.
Because that was one thing my wife said when I started learning. She goes, "You speak it too slow." I'm like, I'm learning to walk right now. Okay, don't tell me to run. Calm the fuck down.
Exactly. One step at a time.
Yeah.
But my husband heard we were traveling and he heard the word suitcase in Spanish and he was
Maleta.
elated. He's like, I know what he just said. He just said suitcase. I'm like, I could have guessed that, babe. We're in an airport, but okay, good
And
for
he
you.
pointed at
Good
it.
for you. But yeah, no, I love my culture. I grew up in Jamaica. I just moved back. My mom has lived in Naples for, I don't know, 20 odd years. But I love Jamaica. It's such a gem. Our culture is so vibrant, music, our land, our food, our crazy people. We are so hospitable. Like, that's why if you go to any country club up here, a lot of the servers and the people are Jamaican.
Okay.
And Jamaicans genuinely, they like to talk to you. Like, if they were to say, thank you or have a good day, it's different. Like, they really mean it. And for whatever it is, like, they're just kind people. They love to talk and they love to listen. And that's why they're very good at hospitality. So I grew up there. I've been there for, quite a while. And then when I was, turning 30, I was like, all right, I love it here, but do I think I can find a family? Do I think I can settle down here? And the answer was no. So I was like, all right, peace out. Mom, I'm coming.
So
here I am in Naples.
My ignorance with geography to a degree. How far is Jamaica from here? And what direction? Bro, I know it's south, but I don't know if it's southeast, southwest.
That's fine. So if we're looking at the map,
Because you remember, from
Florida-
Australia, everything's north.
All right. Hey, again, Jamaican, if I'm going anywhere, we're going up there.
Okay.
We don't ever say it's like we're going down, so we're all directionally challenged slightly. Okay. So Florida, Cuba, and then Jamaica right below Cuba.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what's that? West.
Yeah.
East. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay,
and it's a
gotcha.
short flight. So maybe an hour. I can't even remember. I haven't been there in 2 years.
So it's like an hour and a half, 2 hours from here?
Yeah, less than 2 hours.
That's close.
It's really close.
Yeah.
So, we're going to Jamaica for the first time, and my husband puts his little neck pillow on, his headphones, and I'm like,
He wears a neck pillow?
He did. He doesn't wear one now. Actually, no, it wasn't a neck pillow. So I'll give it back.
I say that because I'm jealous because I always forget it and then I see people with them. But for 2-hour flight, mate.
Hey, let my story live. It's funnier with a damn neck pillow. Anyways, he puts his headphones on and then he puts his head here and I'm like, babe, we're here. He goes, what? I was like, yeah. We go up and basically you come right back down. It's really quick. It's a great place.
Have you ever been to Australia?
I have never been to Australia.
You'll need a neck pillow for that one.
Yeah.
For
sure.
It's from here. You got to go to Texas, so Dallas or LA. Mm-hmm. Then it's a 14-hour flight.
Wow.
So you'll need a neck pillow.
Yeah. When we went to Thailand, it was...
That's a far flight from here.
That was a really far flight. Yeah.
Mm. How do you get there from here? Why do I feel like there's not?
I don't remember.
Just pop some Xanax.
I sometimes, I don't know. I love to live life and just live in the now, but I'm really bad. So anytime someone invites me to a restaurant, I have to look at Chad and be like, hey, have I been there before? He goes, yes, babe, you loved this meal or you loved this about it. I'm like, great. Okay. Well, let's go there again. I don't know. I have a really bad memory. My dad was the same. But yeah, I don't remember. I remember we stopped in, I don't think it's North Korea, South Korea. And we stopped over Seoul. Exactly. I called my dad. I'm like, hey, we're in North Korea. He goes, you're not in North Korea. Yeah, I was like, sorry, that was it. Yeah, I know, you're right.
Hunch.
Yeah, I was like, no, you're right. I'm in South Korea. And he was like dying laughing. I was like, yeah, no, it's gorgeous here. It's not North Korea.
People aren't eating rats.
I know. The airport's beautiful, but I think maybe we stopped. We went to Miami, England, and then Oval. So our first flight was very long. Yeah. I believe it was England. Yeah, and then South Korea.
But it's wild how much of the world, like most of the landmass, is in the northern hemisphere.
Yeah.
Because, like, you speak to an Aussie and we're like, oh, so how far is that? And you go, it's 10 hours away. You're like, fuck, that's close.
All right.
It's like, it's 6 hours away. And they're like, oh, I need a neck pillow.
Yep, I know. Yeah, everything in the States, 5 hours. And then they travel to, the Caribbean and, Central America. So not that far. But yeah, no, 8 hours isn't.
Yeah. Well, when I found out that Europe was so close, I was like, bro, this is wild. Because, again, to go to Europe is... From 10. Here is great, but from Australia, you're flying to Dubai, which is 14 hours. Then you lay over to get to Europe, so it's like another, depending on where, it's 2 to 6 hours.
Yeah.
So like,
I guess you are. I mean, you guys are in kind of the middle of nowhere.
Middle of bumfuck nowhere. Mm-hmm. It's the fact people originally got there on boat is wild.
Right.
And like,
but and again, you can't ever say that. Oh, I'm ignorant. Like you ask me anything about Australia, and I don't really know. I was like, is Madagascar close by?
I don't even know that. I think that's closer to you guys.
No,
isn't it?
No, Madagascar is a small island somewhere.
Yeah, I know it's a small island. Yeah, I watched the movie.
Yeah,
the animation.
Yeah. Why do I think that? Anyways, yeah.
No, what's close to us is Fiji, Vanuatu.
Right.
Vanuatu's beautiful as fuck, by the way. Then you've got that's like east. You've got Fiji, Vanuatu, Solomon Islands is kind of north-ish east, and then you got.
Where do the Australians go to a boutique vacation?
Bro, we go Europe and America. We go Europe.
You don't go to any of those small islands that you don't mention? Really?
So Fiji's popular.
Yeah.
Fiji's 4 hours from Sydney, and like again, when I found out that Vanuatu was 3 hours away, I was like,
I've never heard of that.
Vanuatu is
how big of an island?
Small. You can drive around the main island in 2 hours.
That's cool.
Maybe 3. But Vanuatu is what you think Bali will be. So Bali on Instagram looks beautiful. It's everything. You go to Canggu where the most part it's shit. Right. It's an absolute trash hole. It's they burn bodies. They don't get rid of them. Like that's how they get rid of them. They cremate them in the open air. So the area just smells humid mixed with just
it looks pretty. It probably just like that.
It's like the complete outskirts, and there's a shitload of plastic. You go to you look that way. You know those Instagram versus reality things that are trending now, where it's like beautiful, and then it's like what's really happening.
Right.
It's like that, but it's like you turn and there's people plus piles of bottles because they don't like plastic bottles,
right?
Because they've never been educated on anything to do with that. They're actually now like throwing plastic, they don't give a shit.
Yeah, Jamaica went through a huge change, and we're just starting now. The government is really trying to, help with plastic and, disposable, properly dispose of it.
Yeah.
But like things like, you don't think about these little islands that education is a big thing. So Jamaica, they overfished all of the coral reefs. So many of them are dying. So there is a fish called the parrot fish, and they've made it illegal to fish it and to eat it. But Jamaicans love to eat it. It's a gorgeous fish, but they're the ones that actually keep the coral reefs going, and they replenish the sand.
Yeah.
So they overfished all these fish, and all the coral reefs are dying. And then when the coral reefs die, then it's a domino effect.
Yeah.
Then your beaches kind of get eroded, and then as you said, education is a big thing. But these small islands, they don't have access to that, and they're just they're years, 15 years behind America.
Yeah, and it's also like you're fighting how we've evolved. Like we've evolved. You eat everything. Like Vanuatuans, whatever they're called, the locals, they legit eat everything. So like, where we look at, like, it's weird how we draw lines. Like a cow, eat it. A dog, like, whereas you go to Vanuatu, they barely.
It's a lot more primal.
It's very. They barely even respect themselves, like to a point where it's.
Very true.
They're very primal. Like so, one of the guys that at the hotel very far north, he's from Brisbane, so he was Aussie, and he's like, these guys are just built different. Where like. So he had one lady constantly coming to work, and she'd have bruises and everything, and like her husband beats her.
Right.
And he'd be like, "Are you all right?" She goes, "Yeah, I'm fine." And he's like,
"It's culturally
do you want
accepted."
Do you want me to?
Right.
Do you know? And she goes, "No, it's fine." She come back, more bruises, whatever. And then she came back one day, and she was just like, "Hey, I need to leave early today." And she goes, "Why?" He's like, "Well, how come?" She goes, "I have to pick my husband up from the hospital." He's like, "Why?"
Did she be back?
So she goes, "Well, I went home and I just had like a 2x4 in my dress, and he just pissed me off. So I just smacked him over the head, and he has to get stitches." I'm like,
just like another conversation. Like I went to the grocery store.
Literally, it was like, yeah, I smacked my husband over the head with a 2x4, and he's getting stitches. And they're like, what? What? And it was just so bizarre. But then like they've got other things as well with like what we perceive as real heinous stuff, like. Actually, it is heinous, but I'll explain what I mean by that. So, obviously, when someone experiences extreme trauma like rape in Western cultures, there's the post of it is you go to therapy, and it's constantly like, you're a victim, you're this, you're that. Like it's kind of really bringing up the problems, and it's horrible. There's never, a woman should never go through that. What they do in Vanuatu is so bizarre. It's literally. So one lady got raped. The guy then ran out into the bushes and just ran because he knew like they are bad. Like they don't tolerate that. So they found him, beat him to a pulp. No jail time, nothing like that. Just beat him basically to within an inch of his life. Had to give her a couple of rugs, a sheep, like real old school.
Right.
And it was like, you good? She goes,
that's the assets that he owns.
Yeah, and it was like payment plus he almost got killed but didn't get killed. And then they're like, you good? She goes, yeah, cool. But no, at least on the surface, it doesn't seem like there's any trauma.
It's not a joking match. Yeah.
It's just like,
Jamaica, you have a lot of, vigilante justice like that.
Yeah.
Kids, and it's typically when it's around children. Like if you do something to a kid, then, people will go and they'll take their stick and like you said, they'll beat them.
Yeah.
Close to death or to death.
And that's wild. But the way he was describing it, he goes, it makes sense to me because it's just like he fucked up, here's his ramifications, and then everyone moves on. He goes, I'd love to see the studies of if she is actually okay, but on the surface, he goes, it just looks like she's like, all right. And she might have it, but they haven't made proper studies.
Trauma is slightly different. Like you said, if in your culture, it's something that happens and it's in a sense sadly enough accepted, because like you said, it's something, it happens. He got beaten, and her in a third world country, you have so much other things to think about. Like even just watching the news or being vested in the news is a luxury. Because think about it, you have the time to form an opinion. You have the time to think about all these things, to research, to read. And they don't have time. You know what they you know, you're working from day to day. You're living, you know, from moment to moment. You know, it's the luxuries that we have in America, even down to the simplest of forms. That's why right now in this country, we're like, oh, you know, white privilege. And sometimes I think about it. I'm like, you guys need to travel. The Americans, period, doesn't matter what skin color you are. We're all privileged. The way that our country is built, the smallest of things. Like in Jamaica, and I mean, I haven't been there in a couple of years, but like let's say our minimum wage or what people live off of is the equivalent to maybe $80 or $100 a week. You know, and that's what they live off of. You know, remittance is a big one of the biggest ways of sending money, and how people survive down there is, you know, people come up here, they work, and then they send, you know, a couple $100 every month down, and they feed 2-3 families. Yeah, you know, and so the word privilege is so loosely used up here that we have so many luxuries here that we don't value. And third world countries, like you say, like, you know, that it's traumatizing to us, but it's a sad reality for them, and they don't have the time or luxury to dwell on it. It's like, it happened to me, but I have my kids to fend for. I have to move on with my life. Yeah. You know, it's a stark reality.
Yeah. Well, that thing with the Jamaican income, I watched this documentary, 6-part documentary on, I think, HBO Max, called Trafficked. Mm-hmm. Mariana Vanzella does it. And the first episode is the phone scamming that comes from Jamaica. Mm-hmm. I empathized with it by the end of it. You know, like, because the way they were explaining it was, we're watching people come in. You know, like, so if you're working at the hotels, we're watching these people come in and they'll spend in a day what we earn in a month. Mm-hmm. And so they kind of, like, the ones who do scam, like, obviously that's a small population of people, but
scammers are hated in Jamaica.
Yeah, yeah.
But not only because of what they're doing, but they're also not good people. And it's kind of like an equivalent to a cartel. Yeah. I mean, it's all crime ridden, and it's not like, you know, and it doesn't make it any better, but it's not like they're doing something wrong to feed their kid. Yeah. They're doing all these things to buy cars.
I think it starts with that, and then it grows into greed. It's like that Walter White thing.
It's all organized crime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, they interviewed some mothers, for example, and I was like, I was like, yeah, I totally agree with you guys, because they're like, look, I didn't want to do this, but, you know, and it's that thing of, well, we're taking from these people what they make in a day. Right. So, and like, unfortunately, they usually
you also have to consider that.
Well, they're scamming usually people who don't have the money. That's a problem. The people that have the money don't get scammed.
Right.
You know, but
it's grandma that gives you her last penny. Yeah. You know.
And I mean, again, we're all flawed and in different ways. So, but when I saw it, I was just like, I get where they're coming from now. The ones that are like, you know, not the few that are like up there that become greedy, but again, it's like, I think you've watched Breaking Bad, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know
I'm
how
not like a huge fan.
Okay, well, the fact that, like, he starts with a noble, desperate intention. Sure. And like all of us, like, you know, how many times do all of us go, you know, when I'm making $100,000 a year, then I'll be comfortable. You make that $100,000. You know, when I'm making $250,000 a year, you make that. When I'm making $500,000, like, it's just.
I don't know. So I'll give you a short backstory. I'm not gonna necessarily agree with you there, because
I'm not saying it's good.
Right.
I'm just saying.
But I wouldn't sympathize a bit. My dad was murdered by 5 people, 2 of which were teenagers.
Shit.
Yeah. So where does it stop? There are people that struggle every single day, but they make the choice because their insides, they know that it's wrong. And you can. There are ways. You don't have to kill someone. You don't have to scam someone else out of their hard-earned money to then leave them homeless. It's a choice that you make. And it's like, once your soul is broken like that, there's no fixing you. You can't be like, well, I did this out of desperation. I'm going to go back to being a good person tomorrow.
Yeah.
You don't. You slowly eat away at your soul, and you're not whole again, So it's, I don't know. My whole aspect on that is every single day you have a choice. Like I had a choice when my dad died. My dad was the sweetest man. He would never hurt a fly. He was a huge philanthropist. Like he gave back to Jamaica. He was a part of the Solar Association. He used to travel with the Prime Minister, trying to teach Jamaicans, like what is solar? How can we implement it in this country? Because electricity is very expensive. He built his college computer systems. He started that whole thing. So like he loved to give back. And then so you have a choice every day. And then so like when my dad passed, I was a daddy's girl. Loved him. I made that choice. Do I choose fear and anger, or do I choose to learn and grow and be happy? Because I was I was broken into a million pieces, but I've always been a very happy-go-lucky person, always. And I really sat and reflected. I'm like, I don't want to lose that part of me. And if you make one choice, then you're down that path. And I don't think you can. It's almost impossible to switch back. Yeah. Like if I said, I'm always going to look at it like, there's bad people in the world. Everyone is bad. All these things can happen. I'd never want to leave my house, and I'd be miserable, and I would hate everybody. Just like a lot of young people now, for whatever reason, they hate the world. They hate everybody. All they can do is point fingers and blame other people for their problems. No, you can make that choice, and you can choose happiness. And it was hard, and every day I had to remind myself to make that choice. Make that choice of, I'm not going to hate the country that my dad loved and then the country that betrayed him, in a sense.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that because I do love Jamaica. It was hard. I haven't been back since it happened. But I'm like, I'm not going to label the country bad because of 5 people.
Yeah.
Or for a group of bad people, because I know that my dad would hate that, because no matter what, my dad always saw the good and he loved the country. So I don't agree with that. And you might sympathize because, yes, we're human, and we've, a lot of people have never been through that extreme hardship, that you'd see in that documentary, pulling on your heartstrings. You've never been in that situation.
Oh, they didn't glamorize, like it was like the both parts. Like,
right.
Like I said, the ones that were super greedy, it's like they didn't paint them in a good picture.
Good, yeah.
It was like the ones, it's always the ones at the bottom, unfortunately.
Right, of course.
But
it's a choice, and
it
is what it is.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
It is. I'm sorry to hear about that.
Yeah, it happened. It's so I'm afraid of the dark, and I have, my baby, she's 3 months old, and I have to, in the night they wake up a couple times, and you can't turn the lights off because then they'll be like, hello, I want to sleep. So I'm in there, and, I can't turn the lights on. So I have my tiny little night light, but it's still dark. And sometimes I do get scared. I'm like, oh God, it's a ghost's going to get me, whatever, And then I stop and think, and I'm like, well, my dad's still here. And if ghosts were real, because my dad is very annoying, I was like, the only person that's haunting me is my dad. So it's going to be my dad that's here. But so, I mean, he's close to me. I love him so much. And it's something that happened. And if I didn't grow from it and choose to be happy, I don't think I would have had a kid, because depression, like my doctor said, you have to let this go. Your body is fine. Depression is like a wall. If you don't dissolve it and in a sense say, okay, I need to step through this, it will eat away at your body worse than any drug or anything that you can ever do. You have to forgive. And that's why, and I learned the real meaning of forgiveness is not for them, it's for you. Mm-hmm. Because if you harbor that, I mean, like it was heavy. And I really had to forgive and let go, or I would have just deteriorated. I wouldn't have been happy. I would have been a totally different person.
Yeah.
So, but no, he's close by. I love him to pieces. Every minute he's in my head. He always used to come, every night because I cook. And he's like, what you making for dinner? can you post it on Instagram, please? So like I do a lot of like what I cook and, just little snippets. And it was all because of my dad. He's like, what you doing? I can't see. I don't know what's going on in your life. Post more on Instagram. It was all for my dad. So it's like, yeah, all right. I just post all the little snippets of life. I was like, Dad, I know you're watching. All right, cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Was your fear of darkness after he was taken or before?
No, before. So, not to like put a dark cloud, but living in Jamaica, again, Jamaica is such a great place, and it's not as bad as portrayed.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I have had a few bad run-ins because they tried to kidnap me when I was 14.
Oh shit.
Yeah, they tried to rob us, and they were pulling me out of the car.
Was there a reason for it? Like a game
So
plan?
we lived in like an Asian neighborhood, and Asians in Jamaica, they own like wholesales, which is
wholesale,
like
the grocery shop.
Yeah, basically, but for bulk stuff. And it's a cash business. So, and typically the families come home and they have all this cash because Chinese, they don't bank. They put everything under their mattress kind of thing. My dad owned a computer store, but so we were just there, and they, I guess, targeted, easy money, try and rob, and then, hold for ransom or whatever the case.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I did this. My dad was actually teaching me how to drive. So I was driving a stick shift. I was 14. And they pulled up, and then the car was behind me so that I couldn't move like reverse. I don't know how I did it, but I turned the steering wheel with all my, little tiny skinny hands of mine.
No power steering.
No power steering. It was like and then I turned the wheel, and I managed to back up, not hit their car, and then drive off. So my dad, we had 2 German Shepherds, and so my dad was, out of the car going into the house, and the dogs are there. But my dad could run because the dogs were running and not attacking but holding them off. So my dad could run in the house, but my dad's not going to leave me. So he's standing there trying to, everything happens so fast.
Yeah.
So he's trying to figure out what's going on. The dogs are there. And then when I see the guy starts pulling out his gun, and he's grabbing me out of the car at the same time.
Your dad or the guy?
The guy.
Yeah.
There were 2 guys. One guy running after my dad, and then this guy by my window. Mm-hmm. And my mind just goes, if he gets you out of this car, that's it. They're going to kidnap you. God knows what they're going to do. You have to do something now. And don't ask me how a 14-year-old can, think about. I am so thankful and blessed that I was able to do that, because people always talk about fight or flight, and people love to say, oh, yeah, I would do this in this situation. I would do that in this situation. I'm like, you actually have no idea how you're going to react in a certain situation, because when you get to that point, it's fight or flight. And a lot of people do shut down. Fear is blinding. Anyway, so I managed to reverse and drive down the street in the car. And so I did not know this. I thought one person was still with my dad. So I drive, then the other guy jumps in his car, starts to follow me. It's kind of funny. I'm like, this is in the movie. This actually happened. I'm just like listening to myself talk.
Nice, keep going.
This is kind of crazy. But anyway, so they start following me, and I'm looking in my mirror, and I'm like, oh crap, okay, so they're following me. Where is the closest police station, And then they manage to turn off. So I go back, and I see my dad, and I'll never forget this. My dad has his head between his legs crying, because he does not know what happened to me. And I get back, and the first thing that I say to him is like, I'm so sorry. He's like, why are you sorry? Because I left him. I felt like I left him behind, I drove off and I left him. And he goes, you have nothing to be sorry about. Your safety is, So there was that situation when I was a teenager, and in the same breath, I say, oh, Jamaica isn't that dangerous, but I have a really bad situation.
Yeah, it's like America though too. Like depending on what area you live in, there's a lot of variables.
Exactly. I always say, in up here, you're probably quicker to get robbed if you walk down an alleyway with your big Rolex, kind of thing. It's just 2 very unfortunate things. So I think there's quite a lot of bit of troubling things that have happened in my childhood. Why I hate concerts. I don't like crowds.
Is that because of a lot of unknown variables?
Exactly. Like I have to, ever since I was little, I have to be be in control of my surroundings, but I have to be able to kind of see what's going on. And in big crowds, I get anxious because, anything can happen.
Yeah.
So I guess my fear of the dark and all that stuff kind of stemmed from when I was younger. And apparently I went to a therapist, and I love therapists, after my dad died, because I wanted to have kids. We just got married after he passed. He passed 2 months after we got married. So I knew that I needed to talk to somebody and just let it out. Be able to just talk and just, offload onto someone else. And he goes, we dove into all these things that happened to me. And he's like, would you come into a second time? I think I would like to do a mock-up, and for PTSD, you go through a long list. They ask you questions. And it's like, you have PTSD. This is why your memory is bad, and that's why you don't like the dark. I'm like, oh, that makes a ton of sense. And it was actually a relief. It made sense to why my brain works in certain ways. And I'm like, that's it.
Yeah.
But, I'm still I literally, that was my question to him. I was like, can you have PTSD and still be this happy? And he goes, yes, you can. I'm like, great. Okay, cool.
It would be little triggers, I'd imagine, like, again, being in the dark.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
But so that's what was nice. It's like, once you know the problem, you know how to address it. You know how to fix it. Not necessarily fix it, but just manage
Work through it and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was it was a nice relief to figure out why I have, because there are huge gaps in my memory. And when we were talking, he was like, when did that start? I'm like, when I was a teenager. When I was 14. Oh, that's what happened. And it was like a light bulb just popped in. He's like, yeah, that's one of the symptoms, Yeah. I was like, oh, interesting. So yeah, afraid of the dark. But my dad passing away, he actually is my light. Like, when I'm afraid of the dark, that's why I say I make that joke. I was like, if anything or if any demon is close to me in the dark, I know my dad. It's gonna be my dad, and my dad's gonna be like pop out like I'm in a movie. So he's like, "What's for dinner?" So it's good and bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So he at least got to see your wedding.
Yes,
that's
he
cool.
did. And then, okay, I'm gonna start crying. Our daddy-daughter dance was Elvis's song. Not Elvis. Dance with My Father Again. And it's just every day. The photographer, our wedding photographer, did just a video of my dad and I dancing to that song. And like every time I watch it, I just cry tears because like and he picked it. I was like, yeah, I would love to, dance with my father again, know, but I know he's close by. So,
yeah. You're going to make me cry.
But yeah, no, see, I'm still super happy. I just like to share my journey through grief, because grief there are only a certain amount of things, are catastrophic things, that change a person, like change your core of who you are. And grief is a big one, probably the number one. And you can be a better person. You can learn a lot from grief. And, that's just, it's what I've always kind of liked to share, the good from that. I just wish that, he was here to see his granddaughter.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Well, it's great. It's great that you're able to, I mean, it's always, and it's hard to say, especially something so traumatic like that. There's always yin and yang to everything.
Yep.
So, I don't know what that is. I'm not even gonna try and hypothesize on it.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's hard.
I'm still me.
Yeah.
I'm me with a couple of crinkles, but I'm still super happy, and I still always see the lining, the silver lining, which is me looking back. I am very proud of myself that I was able to do that, because like my dad was my everything.
Yeah.
I loved my dad. It was me and him since my mom actually told me, she goes, why don't you, when you were 4 years old, because like they separated, and you told me, you said, Mom, I can't leave Dad. My dad needs me. At 4 years old, my dad was everything, so, and I was, don't get me wrong, I was super depressed. I mean, I was in a dark place for a while.
Yeah.
But
I'd be worried if you weren't, to be honest.
right. So looking back, I am so proud that I overcame that, and I have my little girl, and I have my husband's amazing. My husband was, sometimes you don't need to say anything. He was there, and that's all I needed. And, it made us a lot stronger. Every experience, good or bad, it brings you together.
Yeah.
So, but I'm very proud of myself that I was able to now just be my lighthearted, very happy, So that's why, when we talk about racing, politics, crime, people, what I see happening in this country breaks my heart because it's a lot to do with what people have experienced, where people have traveled,
Traveling's a big one. That's what leveled my
huge
mentality for sure. And I wasn't even traveling to third world countries. I traveled to first world countries.
Right.
And it made me appreciate Australia.
Right.
Like
it's just but it's all different. And then you have to understand culture, where culture is a big thing, and America is such a big
boiling pot,
right?
Yeah.
Of so many different cultures, and yes, we can agree to respect, but not agree, but we can respect someone else's culture and you understand and how they live, but we don't have to agree. And right now it's like, well, you and I are not on the same playing field, so I'm not going to respect you. You're an ass. You're this, and you start being derogatory. It's
either agree with me or you're a bad person.
Exactly. It's like that doesn't work. I can still respect you and be your equal, but not agree with how you do things. Like your household is your household. My household is my household.
And you can also I find as well, like the more you chat with different perspectives, you learn. Like that echo chamber, you only get dumber in an echo chamber. You're like, I'm yet to find someone in an echo chamber that gets smarter.
Right. That's
like,
actually funny. I've never heard that. Yeah.
Because it's like as well, like you don't learn anything if you're always right.
Right. Of course.
But
like you said, traveling is a huge thing, and that's
even
one
this
thing,
conversation.
Yeah, that's
like some people would be really uncomfortable with this conversation if that were in there.
Yeah.
Like, no. But it's real. It's great.
So I always make a joke. I'm like, I can politically wise and racial wise, I can do whatever I want. I was
you
like,
tick a lot of boxes.
I'm like, exactly. I'm like,
man,
Latina.
you're great.
So my
You and
mom's
I like the
Taino.
opposite.
So my mom's Taino, which is
Taino.
like the black Latinos. So I'm like,
okay.
So Puerto Rican, Chinese, American, Jamaican. So I'm just like, so my husband and I are like, yeah, well, our kid's going to college for free. So whatever's trending, like Asians aren't trending right now. So we're not Asian. Like Latinas are trending. Okay, check. So
That's
we're
funny.
very like politically incorrect us, but
That's good though.
My husband loves it, and he always goes, talk to my wife about politics and stuff like that. She's probably gonna surprise you, and she's gonna have a very different perspective on a lot of things.
I think that's starting to happen though, where people are getting sick of this. It's like, the thing like with comedians, I guess, where they, we don't like to punch down. In order for me to punch down requires me believing.
Unless you're Will Smith and you.
Nice. But in order for me to punch down means I need to believe I'm above you.
Right.
If I don't believe I'm above you, it's impossible for me to punch down.
Right.
And I feel like that is happening as well with like, quote unquote misrepresentation. Like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff where it's just like a board of white people. Mm-hmm. But I mean, my thing is, when people are like, oh, this boss is a misogynist. He didn't hire me because I'm a woman. And then they fight to get in.
How much time do we have left?
Quite a while. But my thought process on this is, why would you fight to work for someone who doesn't like you? And now you're literally proactively fighting to be miserable.
Right.
I would rather be like, all right, that guy's a dick.
Right.
I know now.
Right.
I'm going to find someone who isn't, work for them, and be
Right.
fucking happy.
Right.
Whereas it's like this thing now where it's like,
I have to prove something. I have to talk and I have to bash.
It's like Louis C.K.'s joke where he talks about like.
Didn't he get canced?
Nah.
Good.
He's back. He's back.
He's hilarious.
Yeah. No, you know how he does that one on like the N word? He goes, I don't mean the word, nah. He goes, I mean when you say the N-word.
Right.
You're making me say it in my head.
Right.
And like, fuck you.
Yeah. So another thing that I loved about Jamaica. Jamaica is very, what's the right word? There's no fluff. They call you a white man because you have white skin. They used to call me Miss Chin because I'm Chinese.
Miss Chin.
Yeah. And so, okay, my skin color, I have my mom's skin color. So when I have sunglasses on, I look like an Indian. So what they call Indian people in Jamaica is coolie. So
that's kind of cool though.
Yeah.
Coolie.
So when I have sunglasses on, they're like, coolie, wagwan. Yeah, what you need anything coolie? And then as soon as I take my glasses off, they're like, oh, Miss Chin. What you want, Miss Chin? Because like they don't know. But I mean, like, it's nothing offensive. It's literally, they're just, it's education. That's what it's simple.
Yeah.
You look Chinese, so I'm gonna call you Miss Chin. You look Indian, so you're a coolie. You look like a black man, you're a black man.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's so primal and so it's not offensive at all, and it's no big deal. And there are a lot of things in Jamaica that I wish like the world or America right now would take a page or two out of. Like my nickname my racing nickname is Chiney Dolly.
I saw, yeah, when you got your, I was like, that's kind of cool.
Chiney Dolly.
Chiney
And
Dolly.
I mean, like, a part of me goes, oh, with this whole thing, I should change it. Because, like, I did a show on Discovery Channel, and they could not call me Chiney Dolly because it was
even though you call it yourself.
Yep. They were like, we need to start the show with you explaining your name and
Yeah,
you
you have to
saying it
preface it.
first. Right.
That's the problem right now. Everyone wants it. It's a race to be offended.
Well, and so I can't remember if it was Wall Street or one of these big publications did a video on Asian Americans, and it was like the hashtag was like it's 2019, and it's like just because I'm Asian and I look like and I have skin like this and I look like a porcelain doll doesn't mean that you can call me a Chinese doll. And I'm like,
Chiney doll.
I take no offense to it. It's my Instagram name.
Yeah.
Sorry. And it was a friend of mine gave it to me when we were little. It's like, hey, Chiney Dolly. So and I have to spell it for people because like, what is Chiney Dolly? I'm like, yeah, Chiney Dolly. So like, I didn't change it because it is even something as simple as my name. It's culture. It's my Jamaican culture, and I took it, and I'm proud of my name. I take no offense to it. So it's like, just this is what it is. Stop.
Yeah, well, it's funny how it's like, again,
Stop being offended for everything.
You can say a guy from England is an Englishman.
Right.
That's fine.
Right.
But a guy from China, you can't say is a Chinaman. It's like, it's the same thing. It's not race.
And the virus that came from Wuhan is not the Wuhan virus.
Let's not go down that road.
I know.
I got a long one now. But no, actually, side note, you couldn't call it a China virus, but you could call it the UK strand.
Honestly, and again, like, where are feminists when we have these male, or these transgenders coming into women's sports and just dominating? Like, where are feminists then? Like, we can pick
I think
and
they
choose.
they're starting to stand up because they're getting angry now.
Sure,
Yeah.
but it took them how many years? Like,
I think once they started realizing that like Leah Thomas was an example, it's like, wait. So
how
this
do you not
person,
realize that from minute one?
It's ideology versus that's the problem. They're stuck in ideology. Like, are we equal? Yes, in some areas, no, in a lot. And there's a strength in, again, that yin and yang. There's a strength in not being equal because
body-wise and genetic makeup, we're not. Like, so I look at my husband trying to put my daughter down, and he has no idea. There is not one motherly instinct in that man, and he loves his kid.
Yeah.
Like I was laughing with my mom. Men and women are built very differently. Like, he does not have one motherly, like things that we as, women or as a mother come up with like this. He's like a robot.
Yeah.
No clue.
As she gets older, though, he'll be the rough one. You'll be like, you need to be this more serious.
For sure.
Actually, no, you probably won't. Stace is always like that. I got told the other day that, not by Stace, but my father-in-law, because I was like, this was before she broke her arm. But I was like, I was doing something I'm like, you're a wild child. I love that. Like, take risks, figure out shit. And like, it's more important. I think I said this what started the conversation. It's more important that she learns how to get up than how to not fall.
Oh,
And,
Absolutely.
So the comment was, maybe eventually you'll start learning to be more maternal with your daughter. And I was just like, why? I was like, I don't want her to get hurt, but I know that she will.
Right.
And I'd rather her build the tenacity and I guess the wherewithal to overcome it
Absolutely.
than try my very, 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 very best to not let her ever get hurt. Because what happens is I end up micromanaging her. I stunt her mental growth because I won't let her experience anything.
Yep.
And guess what? I can't be around her 24/7. And if I am, she's going to be fucked up in a different way.
Right.
You
Well,
know?
that's why that's also a big argument that I've always pushed. Like when it comes to sports, the reason why women aren't, like in car racing is because we don't want them to break their arm. We don't want them to go on a bike, do motocross or be in a car or drive fast when they're little. There are little girls. We protect them, but we can still protect them and you can put them in a safe environment, but we as parents need to encourage them to do fun things like that from little, and then we'll start seeing more diversity. But it takes, any sport, you have to start when you're young, when you're a baby in order to be a professional athlete. So, but how many race car driver fathers or mothers have their baby girl doing that from little?
Yeah.
Not very many. So then you dwindle from a handful to then people that are actually talented and that want to pursue it professionally. And then you end up with one person every 10 years.
Yeah.
So
There's been a cool trend though. I mean, I'm speaking this from skateboarding point of view because I grew up skateboarding. Love it. Still want to. Haven't got time. Sucks. But what I'm noticing, because I follow a lot of skateboarding on my social media still. And there are people that have been teaching their daughters from 4.
Yeah.
And dude, these girls at 13, 14, 15, so fucking good.
Yeah.
You're like, what is going? And the funny thing is, I guess everyone goes like, oh, they end up being butch. These girls are like still very feminine.
Yeah.
And I mean,
you don't have to choose.
The biggest female skateboarder at the moment, badass, she's 30, killer in a bathing suit. Yes, a little bit more muscular.
Right.
But she's not butch.
Right.
It's still very feminine. There's a reason why she's the most popular. It's because she has a lot of eyeballs on her, and also guys are then just blown away.
She's really talented, but she started young.
Yeah.
Any sport, whether you're a guy or a girl, you have to start young.
Yeah.
So
you can't be great if you start it. Like if you're going up
20.
against people that have been doing it for
you can
20
be really
years.
talented. Don't get me wrong. Like talent has no age, but in order to, because our bodies start to deteriorate. You can't be doing these big things at 50. Yeah. So you have to start young. You have to hone your craft, and then your peak years are, not everyone's Tom Brady. So it's like we can't all be like 40 doing these ridiculous things. So you have to start. So I always tell people, like, if you have girls, let them do something else other than play with dolls. Have them go out. Have them do something fun. So like my baby girl, she'll be driving a go-kart, in like a year.
Yeah.
Before, right after she can
When
walk.
did you start driving? Because go-kart's what you start with, correct?
I started late. So, that's why I didn't.
What age?
I started at 18. Like 17.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really late.
That's really late.
Yeah.
'Cause I thought
really
they start
late.
young.
You have to start like Lewis Hamilton. They all started, they were karting when they were kids. Like, 7, 8, 5. So that's why, whether my baby girl wants to do it professionally or not, I get to live through her now. But because I did it and I know a lot about it, it's something that we'll share. And I'm a first-time mom, so but the way that I look at it is that they just want to be with you and they just want to do fun things with you. So if you're passionate about something and you enjoy doing it, they're probably going to like doing it too.
Yeah.
So I was like, if she likes it and she wants to go somewhere with it, great. If not, then it's something for us to kind of, it'll be our little thing. She can play tennis with her dad. She'll race cars with me. That's pretty cool.
So let's go to the world record, because that one we touched on very briefly. But Thailand, why Thailand? What was the world record? All that sort of jazz.
Okay. So I got an email saying, hi, we're so-and-so. We have a pilot for a TV show called Record Rides. Would you be interested in coming to Thailand to potentially break a Guinness World Record? I read it. I went, delete. This is a scam. I'm not sending you any money.
Jamaican scammers.
Delete. delete. So a day passes and like something in the back of my head goes, Natasha, that maybe it's true. Why don't you just respond, see if there's, any truth to it? Anyways, so I said, hi, okay, can we have a phone meeting to, discuss and see if it's something that we can work? So we have a phone meeting. I have a long notepad and every name she mentions, every place, I write it down and then I Google everything. And it all checks out. All of the businesses are legitimate. All of the production company, everything, all the names, so I was like, okay, this is kind of weird. So I said, all right. I mean, I'll be willing. Again, my husband and I, we love to travel. We love to explore. And I'm always like
a paid trip. Do it.
Yeah. I was like, we'll say yes and we'll figure out the rest later. We're kind of those kind of people. So we said yes, we went. My husband did not want to take the car that picked us up for the airport. We paid a taxi. He's like, well, just in case if shit hits the fan that we're not being kidnapped, I'm actually just hiring our own car, our own taxi to take us to the hotel. So like even getting there, we were still really skeptical.
Yeah, Thailand's not that bad.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, I don't know. Maybe it was like this an elaborate plan to kidnap us both in Thailand. Who knows? But anyways, we get there. We meet everybody. The show's called Record Rides. So basically, it was a TV show that we build these two cars. It was partnered with National Geographic and Chevron, which over there is called Caltech. So basically, it was a marketing.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Different names. In Jamaica, they call it Texaco. When it's all Chevron. So it's basically a marketing piece for Chevron to be able to say our gas and our gas technology called Caltex at the I can't remember what the
Caltex. That's what that's the servo, aka your gas station, what you call it.
Right.
Yeah, we have Caltex. Yeah. Sorry,
so,
the accent threw me off. We say Caltex.
Yeah, sorry. Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? So it's their marketing piece to say that our gas technologies can take you up a mountain in record time. Basically, was the the whole point of this show. So we built two cars. I mean, it was the coolest experience in my life, to be honest. Like we got to go with, they hire all of these people. We saw the Hmong village, which is, I didn't know this. My husband was like, yeah, the Hmongs there's quite a lot of them in Minnesota, but it's just their origination village in Thailand. So we're up in the hills and they do these cool go-karting downhill where you steer with your feet and you brake with your hands.
That is fun.
So I got there were moments in time that I was like, I'm going to fall off this cliff and I don't have any children yet, so please don't die. But so we got to do that. We went to some of the temples. I met one of the oldest Buddhists and they blessed us. And, again, just to submerge yourself in someone else's culture and religion, really humbling, very cool. So we got to do, a ton of things. I got to drift for the first time down there. We got to eat amazing food. So it was this TV show that with National Geographic, we have to kind of like explore the island and taste their foods.
Yeah.
We did a whole bunch of fun stuff. And at the end, we raced up the mountain. We got 2 tries. My first try, I actually crashed.
Really?
Yeah.
Like a bad crash?
Pretty bad. The car was like teetering off of a cliff, basically.
So
what's funny in the video?
So it's more dangerous going uphill than down, really?
Yeah. Well, no, because if I was going downhill, I would have just fallen off the cliff. But so I go up, and you hear me in the you hear the GoPro. I'm like, oh, fuck. And then I actually put the car in reverse, and I'm trying to reverse off the hill to keep going. And I look back and I'm like, you're a psycho. But luckily we managed to fix the car. And on the second attempt, I did not know that I broke the record. I mean, it was really close because the car, it still had, I think something was bent. I think it was a drive shaft. I'm not quite sure, but the alignment was off. Mm-hmm. and it was the car was shaking going up the hill. And I'm like, I don't care. There's a one-time opportunity. I'm giving it everything I have. So I still went. And then there's a moment, I have like a picture, and I am literally jumping up and down for joy that I broke the record because I didn't think that I did it. So
what was the record? It was uphill.
It's Doichang. So it's climbing. See, this is what's really bad. Again, you'd think that I make this stuff up because I don't know the details, but that's why I literally I don't know what I had for dinner last night. Let's just blame it on PTSD. But it's driving up Doichang Mountain, and then when Guinness World Records, basically they look at the attempt or the feat that you're trying to attempt, and then they give you a time. So they say, okay, a car of this caliber, this is how fast you can do it, and you have to beat that time.
Oh, okay.
So we raced up Doichang Mountain. I think it's like 1,000 meters up, not 1,000 meters driving, but just
actual altitude.
So, and it was Doichang Mountain. We actually wanted to do the crazy backstory. They wanted to do another mountain, but some rich kid in Thailand shot a tiger, and they closed the mountain down.
Thailand. Yeah.
Right? Apparently some rich kid, and like the government was trying to like sort everything out.
Yeah, there's a lot of money in tiger blood. It's like they make alcohol. Are you joking? Out of it. No, seriously. Huh. Yeah, it's big. There's a lot of money in it. What is it? Especially Thailand, and they'll either have it in Thailand or they ship it to China. China has a lot. Like,
that's sad.
It's because it's so illegal. It's seen as a very prestige alcohol.
All right.
Yeah, it's
so sad.
What it was.
But isn't that crazy? It's just like, okay, we got the phone call in the morning. We're like, hey guys, we can't use this mountain because they just shot a tiger. I'm like, this is so weird.
So bizarre.
So bizarre. But yeah, so we went from thinking that it was a kidnapping for it being the most cool experience of my life. All because I pulled the email out of my
little
box.
hunch that you had.
My little ning in my head. No, it might be true. And then I remember so National Geographic is owned. It's like Fox Networks company. So I signed this huge contract, and it said Fox Networks, and I'm like, look, babe, Fox Networks. How cool is that? I just signed a contract, And then we were supposed to go back to do some more, but then COVID.
Yeah,
COVID happened, and we're like,
when was that you broke it?
That was in 2019.
Just before the world shut down.
Yep.
Doesn't that feel so far long ago?
It does. Yeah. It's just been such a weird time. And then like my dad happened and all of that. Like it's honestly like 2019 till now, it's just a huge blur.
Yeah.
Just a huge blur. I think I had a kid. She might be at home. I don't know.
It is surreal, huh? The first few months where you're just like, oh yeah, shit, I'm a parent.
Yeah, it still does. And she's such a good baby. She sleeps through the night. She sleeps through the night already. And she only cries when she's hungry, tired, or you need to change her diaper. And then you just do what she asks. And then that's it.
Yeah.
She's such a chill baby. And she can fall asleep in anything, any noise. She actually likes being around noise like her dad. And that's what lulls her.
Sienna's like that.
Yeah, and it's great.
Yeah.
Because like we used to have a lot of friends over. I cook for a lot of people. So our house was always busy. So I was like, we need to have a kid that is used to this noise,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
she's great. So other than her giving me arthritis and mommy thumbs, I'm okay.
Yeah, Stacey was lucky. She has nothing besides like maybe some abdominal splitting. But
I had
because when you and Holly were talking about that, we were just like, what?
So it's called. I can't pronounce it, but it's basically tendonitis of the thumbs, and I got 2 steroid shots in both hands because I could not move my hands. My hands were like so. It's this tendon here, and it's basically just a hyperuse of your thumbs.
Yeah,
lifting the baby up like this, supporting their head, the bottle, everything.
So it's from post-birth. It's not like birth-related.
Right, exactly. And I've never heard of this before. So I have basically all the issues that you don't hear of. That's me. So I'm seriously contemplating having another child. But like my husband's like, we have to. I was like, okay, how much is the surrogate?
That's always the husband thing.
Because you know what? You guys don't have to do anything.
Yeah, it's like a quick 20 seconds.
Exactly. You just have, have fun doing it. And you're like, all right, babe, peace.
I know. I said that to Stace. I'm like, I really want another one. But I also like, it's again, like, I don't have to deal with it. as much. You know what I mean? Like I come home, I'm like, hey.
Exactly. How are you?
Yeah.
My day was great. And we're like, we want to just, cut your head off.
Yeah. And I get that. Like, I mean, poor little Sienna's in a cast now. Like, it sucks that it's so cute though.
I just draw a bunch of stuff on it, make it fun.
Yeah. Well, the problem, so I was so hopeful because I'm a lefty when I write, but I'm also ambidextrous with most of things.
So am I.
Yeah. Sienna was going that route. Now her left is in a cast.
Oh, so she's probably
that's
going
developmental.
to...
And even yesterday.
How long does she have to be in the cast for?
3 and a bit weeks.
Yeah, that's an eternity
from 11 when you're 11 months old.
Yeah.
Month is a long time.
Yeah.
Especially in that developmental phase.
Yeah. But hey, you never know.
You never know. I did notice one thing was yesterday we took off the cast to just wash because it was a splint until today, and we took it off to like wash her arm. Mm-hmm. Something was on this side. She did that. I was like, fuck. I'm like, no. Whereas before she would just do
always
this. Everything was just that.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I'm sure there's things that you can help her with and just trying to, you never know. But
it's
I'm very, well, I think as a lefty, you have to be somewhat ambidextrous.
Yeah. Not like now it's not as bad, I guess, because
in high school, all the desks were for right-handed people. If I had to write
something.
Yeah,
we didn't have those type of fancy desks where you slide in.
Yeah.
We didn't have that.
Yeah. My hand would cramp because I would have to write like this.
Do you do the writing like that?
No, I write.
Oh, yeah. I find that weird when I see lefties do that.
Yeah. I don't write. Obama writes like that.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know he was so special.
Mm-hmm. No, he's not, because every lefty writes like that.
Yeah. I don't know. But, so seeing her in a cast is like, it's weird. Like, I know she'll be fine.
Yeah.
Stacey's like...
We need more lefties.
Yeah, we do. We do. But it's like, I don't know. It's funny seeing your bub get hurt. I don't know if it's just me. Like, I mean, Stacey's very different, but it's like, she's like, ah! I'm like, she'll be fine.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm like so blasé about
Walk it off. Walk it off.
Yeah. Well, the problem is she does walk it off, but then she keeps falling on it. So I'm just like, yeah, like the cast makes it okay, but it's like, occasionally she'll whack it.
Right.
And it's like crazy crying. I'm like, yeah, shit.
Aww.
And you don't want to, like, it's like this, again, what do you do?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to not let her walk and not let her crawl and not let her move around for a month.
Right.
Because that's going to screw her up.
Right.
But again, there's that what if factor of if she falls in it and really does some damage.
Right.
Hopefully now that it's in a cast is not a thing, but it's like, it's interesting seeing that.
Yep. Life's all about
either way, there's going to be some give and take. There's no right answer.
Yeah.
Whereas it's interesting seeing the like parts of the family where it's like, it's only protect this. And I'm like, well, no, because then again, that takes away from all this other developmental stuff that who knows how that could work.
Right. It is a crucial age.
Yeah.
We figure it out.
And she started learning to walk so young. It was like 10 months she was walking.
Ellie held her head up from like a month and a half.
Yeah, wow.
I'm like, I was like, put your head back down. I was like, stop it. She's so strong now. She can sit up by herself.
Oh, cool.
And I mean, so they say, you don't want them to develop too quickly because then they need to build a good foundation.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, what am I supposed to do? Hinder her? Am I supposed to like strap her down to a pillow or something? Like you can tell her core. Like the other day, she's sitting on my legs and she pulls herself up. I'm like, what is going on? You're like a freak child. And I'm like, go back down. And then you see her trying to like pull herself up again. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy.
It's so cool just watching them develop. Like, especially now where like you see her little pinches and she's like, she'll get Stacey's wallet and just slowly pull out each card and like figure out. I was about to say, she's
taking money already. Oof, you're in trouble.
Every time she grabs my wallet, the first card she gets is a credit card. Like straight away.
Is she going on Amazon yet?
No.
Keep that away.
Keep that away. Yeah, it's like straight away. It's the first. Like there's 10 cards in there.
Oh Lord.
Credit card's the first one every time.
That's too funny.
She knows what she's doing.
No, it's. I don't know. Being a parent really, really changes you, and it took me a while to So I appreciate the saying that, every motherhood and every journey is different. And I really learned that. I read something that says, sometimes it takes you time to become a mother. For me, that was me. I was in such a shock after having her. And I was a little depressed. Your emotions are, what's going on chemically in your body is insane. So I was still just in such a shock, and it took me a while for it to settle in, like, you have a child. This is your blood, this is your kid. So it took me, I don't know, weeks to then finally find that, and it's not like I didn't love her, but and it's a
surreal feeling.
It is, and it's very hard to explain as well.
Yeah.
But it took me a while, and like me reading that really hit with me that it does. Some people it takes time to become a mother, and it took me a while.
Yeah.
But it's a love that I've never experienced. And you look at her, and you're just like, I'll pour everything I have into you.
Yeah. Stacey didn't want a kid.
Yeah.
Like, it was, and then even like a few days in, she's just like, I almost said no to this, and it's like this thing now where it's,
it's her everything.
It's past where I'm like, all right, we need to pull it back just a little bit to give her a little bit of freedom, Stace. Like, I love that you love her so much, but turn it down a little bit. But it's true. I mean, I think I said that to your husband. I was like, look, I don't know how you feel, but here's how I feel. And like the first few months, I didn't have a huge connection at least I wasn't aware. Like, it was more body-wise. I was like, all right, I need to protect her.
Right. Guys are very different.
Yeah, but I said, once she starts interacting with you,
yes,
you'll watch, like, the more she can interact, I don't know if it's a guy thing. It's like, that's how we can give value and we get value.
Yes, my husband's the same way. He's like, now he loves to play with her because she giggles and she she understands what's going on. So he loves reading her books and all that stuff. So but yeah, so I guess it's a guy thing.
Yeah,
very different. The whole pregnancy and parenthood.
We're more physical too.
Yeah,
like that's the thing with Sienna. It's I'm always like, and it's bigger. Like I don't sit down and read with her. So that's Stacey's thing.
Right.
But it's definitely like, if I'm going to make her giggle, do dumb shit, that's mine.
Right.
Like, but it is, I think there's just this thing where there's so many idealistic voices. Like, oh, you're going to be like this, this, and this. And I'm very like, what is it? Like paper in the wind in a way. Like, it's like, okay, what problem's going to happen? Like when now she's injured.
Right.
I'm like, all right, that happened. Mm-hmm. 1, it'll be fine. 2, we'll just figure out how to do it. But let's not also be so focused on the broken arm, because then that has a problem that I know for a lot of people, it looks like I don't give a shit.
No.
From externals, because they're focusing on this one thing, but I'm not focusing as much on that as they are. That it's like, oh, you're just so blasé about it. I'm like, yeah,
you have your kids. You raise your kids. I'm sure they're great kids.
But it's true. Like, you just don't know what. Like, I think because when I was personal trainer, I had a lot of parents that I at least spoke with them enough to have different perspectives to realize, 1, this is going to be hard. 2, it's going to be an absolute clusterfuck. There's going to be mistakes. There's going to be good things. There's going to be bad things. That it's funny. Like, I think because I came in with this, like, oh boy, this is going to be a big thing. It's perceived a lot easier. It's not easy, but it's easier than what I thought. I thought I'd be like, just like,
right.
That I'm like, oh no, this is kind of cool. So I feel like you either hear only about the good things, and they're big,
of course,
or only about the bad
everything.
Things. Like, oh, wait until your child's this old. And you're
right.
like, oh, can I just
don't know.
enjoy?
The way that I look at parenting is like, there are so many different ways you can do it. The only thing to not mess it up, you just have to be present.
Yes.
You have to care, and however you show that is different. Like Asian people, they don't show emotion. My dad never told me he loved me until like I was in my 20s. Now, did I know that he loved me? Absolutely.
Actions.
Did he? My dad up to at my wedding, I think the only time that he really gave me like a big embrace was when we danced together. Typically, my dad, he hugged me like a guy that he didn't like. It was like, all right, see ya. That's how my dad,
Is that like a thing though where it's like, this is coming from a father's point of view, you don't want to be too handsy in a way, because then you got that other problem where it's like, he's a creep.
No.
He's what, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's how I know it's like he's not, but I'm saying like in our head, we don't want to be like.
I don't ever think that. I don't ever think that. But again, I never grew up with a dad that was loving at all. Like, so I don't know.
Well, he was loving in his own way.
Oh, absolutely. Sorry. Let me change that. Like,
Yeah.
he wasn't very lovey-dovey. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't get big hugs. I wouldn't be like, oh, I love you. You're the best daughter ever. Like, no, never. It's like, stop texting where you drive. Call me when you get home. It's like, okay.
Okay, sorry, Dad.
Right? Like, what are you cooking for dinner? And like we would talk a lot of business. It's just culture.
Yeah.
But so again, like in parenting, how you show your love and how you do things are different for everybody. But my dad was always there for me. Like my races, every single race, he would find his way there.
Yeah.
Everything that was important to me, he would find his way there. So did I know he loved me? Of course, because he showed it to me in his own way. So as long as you're there and you're present, it's who cares what anyone else thinks? It's just it's like my dad. That's something that he taught me as well. He's like, "Do they pay your bills?" No. Why do you care? I was like, okay,
fair enough.
Like,
that's actually a good lesson for cancel culture too.
Yeah.
The only people that complain about you are the ones that aren't going to pay you anyway.
Sure. But I don't know. Cancel culture is like, the thing about cancel culture is that what I just said a while ago is like, why do they care? Do they pay your bills? If you're on social media now and you're a personality like yourself, cancel culture can affect you paying your bills.
It can, but it also can't sometimes.
Okay. I'm a brick and mortar kind of girl. This whole technology thing and all this social media, I don't mess around with that at all.
I find it usually just depends on.
I'm an old school girl.
Yeah, it depends on who's above you. Yeah. In a way, that's all that matters. Mm-hmm. Whereas I find some of the episodes I put out, like I was talking to my friend Sid on an episode about our history when we were single. Used to be a stripper, used to go to sex parties, found out I didn't like them. But my whole thing is like, I think you need to experience or achieve something to understand if you truly don't like it.
Sure.
Like get money to see what you actually really want.
Right.
I went to a sex party, realized I didn't want to go there.
I can spin that in so many ways, but let's not.
But I was talking about that in a podcast, and Stacey's like, even though Stacey knows everything about me, because I'm like, I'd rather I'd arm her with knowledge. Mm-hmm. Here's everything about me and my history, so no one can ever go to her. Did you know this about Blake? Because then that we're screwed.
Right.
I'd rather her be able to like, yeah. Did you know this about him as well? Like, I'd rather shock them.
One up.
Yeah. So she was like, are you sure you want to put that episode out? I was like, well, one, if someone's going to hear this and then not want to work with me, I don't want to work with them to start off with, because it means they're judgmental. They're going to be like, oh, you're that type of person. Great. The funny thing was, the very people that came to me that were like, that was a funny episode, were mostly women in their 40s and 50s.
Right.
They were like, that was very random and funny.
Right.
The very group that
Lighthearted.
most people think are going to be offended.
That's good.
The edge of the Karens.
Right. I just feel right now everyone has a voice, and it's the people that don't really have anything else that are just so vested in those things.
I've never had a billionaire comment on my section. Right. I've never had it. So
right. We're busy doing other things. But with me, and I mean, whether you like me or not, my point of view is because of my experiences, and I've had great experiences and, horrid experiences. But if you disagree with me, that's okay. But I'm not just coming up with this point of view and this perspective because I saw it and I like it. So I'm just going to attach myself to it. I am the reason I am who I am because of these reasons. And I can't change, and I can't be fake, and I can't do anything else because I have a bad memory. So if I try to pretend to be this person today, I'm gonna be like, what did I say yesterday? Do I agree with this point or do I disagree with this point? I'd be horrible. So, whether you like me or not, it's and it has a lot to do with, like when they talk about sports and like, oh, women don't get paid as much as men. I'm like, well, my perspective and where my experience is that's not true. I got paid more than most of my counterparts. You know, I've never had that issue, but I've been racing for a very long time, and I don't think that
you had a marketing background too, which also would help.
Correct.
Because you knew how to bring eyeballs.
Correct. So funny you mentioned that. When in my racing career, I always tried to put myself that if I had a bad racing day, I would still be in the news because of another reason. So I was the first woman to campaign a Group N rally car. So that was that marketing. You know, I was the first to race. There was a really cool Honda Civic that we built in partnership with Honda. It was one of the most technically advanced Honda Civics in the Caribbean. That car was awesome. It was really cool.
Is that what you race typically, the Honda Civics?
I did a lot. I did a lot with Honda. So I did Civics. I did S2000. I still have an S2000.
I remember that from Gran Turismo.
Yeah, that's my favorite car. I think it's
nice.
the most, not only nice, they're very balanced. It's a beautifully made sports car. Like it handles like a dream, even after you drive it straight off the line. It's just raw. If you're a real car enthusiast, that is just a really nice car. Everything just works, and it's not a shit ton of technology. It's take you back to the basics, but everything works and everything is just seamless. Anyways,
more mechanical, you mean?
Yeah, because like it doesn't have all these fancy technologies that you have in cars today. You know, it had a limited slip, but it wasn't. You could still drive the car. You know, the car didn't drive itself, and you could still mess up. And it's very light. Like the engine, so it has this long front. It has a long nose, but the engine bay was so close to the center of the car, to the dash. Like you literally had like this much space.
Is that what they call it? Is it MR? Like, you know, you got front drive, rear drive, and you got MR or whatever it is?
Mid-engine.
That's it, yeah.
Mid-engine is like Porsche, Ferraris, engines in the back.
Okay,
yeah. But what they did is that all of this engineering, so the engine was so close to the dashboard. I mean, it's still in the front. So you have this long wheelbase, and the engine was right there on the wheels in front. So it was just such a perfectly balanced car. My favorite car. I think I've owned like 5 of them.
Okay.
I love S2000. So I still have one. I actually bought one that was an SCCA championship car up here. And I'm like, and beautiful weld work. I'm going to kind of geek out on cars, but like it was just done very nice. It's super light. One of the lightest S2000 chassis I've ever seen. So I was like, hey, I don't.
What do they typically weigh?
Oh God, I can't remember.
I'm sorry.
I haven't been. I've been. But this car, my car was lighter, and all I remember is that it was probably like 400 pounds lighter than the current race car that I had, and I had a fully built race car, and 400 pounds is a lot. So they did a lot of investment in the chassis, and everything was done really well. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna get this car, and I don't need it for a while. I'm just gonna put it in storage, and I've had it since. And I'm like, okay, that's gonna be Ellie's little car when she, when she gets older. So my husband knows. He's like, great, I have a girl, so now we're gonna have like a race car for her and a race car for my wife. And he goes, I need to like do fighter jets or some crap. I need to just do something cool.
You guys are gonna have all the boys' toys that most people are like, fuck. Like,
I know.
It's gonna be. I can see her in like high school when it's like the guy, like the jock has the cool car that every girl wants. Yeah. It's gonna be the flip.
Right.
Like she's gonna be the one fighting off the guys because they're like,
yeah.
can I have your car?
I know. I was like, what is this? Yeah, no, I can't wait. I can't wait for that.
No, so S2000s, that's cool.
Yeah.
And so how fast do you typically get into them?
So with because I mean it's stock cars, it'd be your equivalent to an SCCA. We go pretty fast on the straight, but with race cars, it's how fast you go through the corners.
Yeah,
that's what really freaks people out because, like, I would sometimes take a passenger, just for shits and giggles, and where your mind, as just a normal driver, where your mind says brake, we are
still
way down there. So they're like, we're gonna die, we're not gonna make this turn, and then you hit the brake, and then you turn, and the G-force that you feel in the turn, that's what's exhilarating. In all of the tracks in the Caribbean, you typically only have like 1 or 2 straights. So but you can go over 100 miles an hour. But it's just in the corners, it's what's really cool. The adrenaline is whole next level.
Yeah.
But me being a female racer and me starting so long ago, that now these young females that are in racing, they want everything handed to them. And I try to explain, I was like, at the end of the day, for whatever external reasons, motorsports is mainly men.
Yeah.
It is. That is not an assumption. It is a fact. Now, how can we change that? Mothers need to allow their daughters to be exposed to different sports from young. That's one. Two, if it's a male-dominated sport, you have to understand that and just know that you're going to have to prove yourself a little bit more. Now, I did. I was teased. My love for cars were questioned for years. I used to get teased all the time saying, oh, you only like cars because of the men and blah, 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 and all the crap. And I was a little tomboy. And I'm like, no, I like cars. I probably know more about cars than you do. And I'm doing this because I truly love it, and it took me years, but I gained the respect and I was able to stand beside my male counterpart as equal.
Yeah.
And I look back on my career and I think to myself, I would not want to change that for anything. It made me learn true grit and, real determination and to work hard at something and not to give up when everyone else is telling you, no, you can't do it. Just keep doing it. So when I do a lot of talks, that's what I try and explain to the young women, that whatever sport you want to go to, if it's cricket, because there was a young girl, she's from India, cricket's huge in India.
Yeah.
And it's all, oh, you're a girl, you can't play, blah, blah, blah. It's like, why does it matter? Why does his opinion matter to you? He's not going to stop your progress. You keep going in your sport and just say, well, fine, okay, I'm right here and I'm going to be here constantly and I will get better and I'll prove to you that I am worth being here just as you are. Why does it matter? So I've done that and I look back and I'm very proud of where I've come, because it was hard. People did tease me. And there were times that I wanted to quit. But then I'm like, my dad in my head's like, oh, do they pay your bills? No. Okay. So
it's also like as well, like it's great that you had that marketing thing because money just goes where the eyeballs are.
Yeah.
And I think that's like there's plenty of like golf, male dominated sport. Mm-hmm. There is some like the Instagram and social media has been this, like everyone likes to look at the negatives.
Right.
It's been a leveler for a lot of things. So you're like,
sure.
You've got these girls who they are good at golf.
Right.
And they're also attractive. Mm-hmm. And they have followings of like 2 million.
Millions. Mm-hmm.
And cool, they might not make their money directly from golf.
Right.
But they're making indirect money that the other guys can't do.
Right.
Yeah. Like, I'm not saying do an OnlyFans. Please don't do that.
Right.
Unless you want to, because there's good money in that. But like, there's all these other avenues that are opened because they are able to get the eyeballs.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's the thing is like, if they utilize their marketing in a way to get those eyeballs, because they're not going to maybe get it like, it's like the WNBA. I don't like, there's the stands are empty.
Right.
And so you're not going to get paid the same as guys in the NBA.
Right. I just read something that one actress didn't get paid this much, but yet Tom Cruise got paid $100 million for Top Gun. I'm like, this is the stupidest comparison.
They did the same thing with Emily Blunt and The Rock. Proof of pay inequality. It's like, all right, why don't we look then at The Rock versus the second lead? Because there's going to be a big discrepancy there.
Correct.
Who's a male?
But The Rock actually, The Rock appeals to so many different people and so many different
but he didn't
types.
At the start.
Sure.
He
but
grew
you say,
that.
Yeah, but great. But I mean, like, if you're a health nut, you follow The Rock. If you're a woman, you follow The Rock. if you bodybuild, you follow The Rock.
If you're into wrestling, that's what he started.
Exactly. But that's why his base is so big.
Yeah.
So how can you that have, 3 million followers compared to someone that,
Well, it's because they're trying to boil something down to a very binary thing, and
I hate that.
They choose the binary system. So in this case, it's male lead versus female lead. All right. Well, why don't you compare the male lead in this other movie to the secondary male lead?
Right.
They never do that.
No.
Ever.
No. Because
then the actual reality sets in, because you can then go, well, it's not because of gender, it's because of whatever.
Right.
And I think that's the thing when.
Yeah, I couldn't disagree with any of that stuff.
Look, like I said, I used to be a stripper. I didn't make anything near what the women made, and I wasn't there posting on Instagram going, "Women are sexist and not paying me what I deserve. I work out for this body."
Exactly.
Like, this is not fair.
Right.
No, I didn't do that because it's like, look, the structure we're in is The guys are like, oh, boobies. And they're
Right.
going to give money
Right.
to the girls to try and sleep with them.
Right.
The other opposite was the women usually would be like, so you're going to buy me a drink? I'm like, bitch, I'm working. You pay me.
Exactly.
You know?
No, I could that whole conversation is, you can talk forever about it. But again, I don't agree with that. I don't agree that men and women,
Kim Kardashian's
anytime,
not struggling.
Exactly.
She has attention.
But they know great marketing. It's a lot to do, as you said, how you market yourself. And but the comparisons nowadays, we're not comparing apples to apples. It's like here's an apple and here's a rice grain. I'm like,
Well, we're trying to we're comparing. Well, not we, but the groups that are outraged. They're not trying to find a solution. They're trying to find the comparison that is easily to be pissed off at.
Right.
It's the same analogy. You never hear someone complain about why the 6'7" basketball player gets paid more than the 4'5" guy. You know that he's not going to be as good because it's just I would love to see someone complain about the height of the ring and there's disadvantaging people of height.
Right.
It's heightest. The NBA is heightest.
oh my gosh, they come up with the weirdest things.
I would love to see that one. We should do that. Start a movement.
Or
lower the bar.
Sometimes we were talking about the Kardashians. So she had mentioned something that she likes putting her hair or braiding her kids' hair and her hair, and they're like, that's not your culture. You're not allowed to do that. And they were flaming her. So me, I'm a keyboard warrior at night, and my husband laughs so much. Sometimes he, I'm there for an hour, and he goes, go to bed. I was like, one more thing.
You should
care?
just troll. You should follow my comment section. If I get haters, I've had people tell me I don't deserve kids. I have fun with it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, thank you because you're making my video push further. I've had some wild shit, and I have to show. I always share it on my wall. Mostly because I do content for businesses.
Right.
And I go, you guys need to realize this shit isn't real.
Right.
And the fact that, I didn't even take a video down after I was getting abused. It was a poop video from when Sienna, I went to grab Sienna when she was 6 weeks old. Mm-hmm. And no, the classic boom, her diaper had blown out. So it was a shit on my hand.
Right.
So me, the creator, goes, hold 1 second, go and get my phone. Don't change the situation just yet.
Right.
And I was like, the whole, you remember that? Oh no,
right.
oh no.
Yeah.
And boom. And it was poop and whatever. So many of them were like she was also in a little bassinet sort of thing with a few blankets around. So everyone's like, you're irresponsible. Have you heard of safe sleeping? I'm like, I'm fucking looking at my daughter.
Right.
And there's some of them that were really smart. They're like, admit it. You found her like that, went back and got the camera and then started filming. And I'm like, yes, you're smart.
Right.
But then, other ones people just saying, giving me advice. One of them was, everyone now, 1, 2, 3, safe sleeping. And I go, everyone else, 1, 2, 3, shut the fuck up. And then she's like, I'm just trying to help. It takes a tribe to grow a child.
To raise a village.
And
it takes a village too.
And I go to her, you're not in my village.
Right, exactly.
And I was just,
you're not welcomed in this village.
Yeah.
But so I go on this Kardashian post and I'm going, I was like, I put my hair in cornrows all the time.
Yeah.
And someone was like, why are you talking about your black people appropriation, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I'm Jamaican. I grew up in Jamaica. We used to do our hair that way. Nobody in Jamaica would. I used to go to school and they're like, you're wearing cornrows. Take that off immediately. You're Asian. You're Miss Chin. You're not allowed to do that.
Miss Chin.
Never.
Yeah.
Never. I was a Jamaican, and that's what I love about the country. You're Jamaican first, because our motto in Jamaica is "out of many, one people." We're a tiny island. We have people from everywhere. So I was Jamaican and I could do my hair like that. And I'm like, I'm actually Jamaican, so I actually can do this more than you. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, it's so many people though. It's the ones that. The funny thing is, it's this complaining stuff comes out of privilege. Mm-hmm. Go and complain in North Korea. Mm-hmm. Go and complain about the government in China.
I say that all the time. That's why I said earlier on, I'm like, the things that we say, being able to debate all of this is a luxury,
100%.
Is a privilege that we are able to devote this much time about talking crap. Or being able to
or
sit
that you
there.
have the time to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Being able to sit there on your phone and talk about all this crap. All of that is a privilege. Americans, this country needs to go back to the basics, the simplicity. And I mean,
and focus what we have in common instead.
Right.
Like, there's a lot in common.
Tons in common, and we can embrace, America can embrace other cultures without having to change its foundation. It's like, you can't go to Asia and be like, oh, well, this is what I am. You need to accept it. And I'm going to change. You crazy? They'll put you in prison and they'll forget, that you're there.
Yeah.
It's just here that we want to embrace everything, but yet we want to change at the same time.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to. You can accept without changing who you are, your foundation, So, I mean, my family is a family of immigrants. My mom, Puerto Rican, but my dad's side, and they worked hard. That you save your money, you do it the right way, and then you come up here because you know that it's a better life for your family and the next generations. But it's you do it. We did it the right way. They had to work hard, multiple jobs, that sort of thing. So I don't know. My perspective on a lot that's going on is very different.
Yeah.
But again, I have reasons for it. I'm not just coming up with an idea because.
Yeah. There's definitely been a big pushback. I think a lot of people, I think I touched on this earlier, but it's like, I think a lot of, I hate the word minority because it's not even a case anymore. Like, everyone's a minority, but like, I think a lot of non-white people are getting sick of being spoken for.
Right.
Like, there was a meme I saw which was fantastic. It was like, it's a black gentleman, and it's what do you call it? It's like a purple-haired liberal, crazy liberal. A lot of liberals are great, but he starts to say, he starts to say, I'm not oppressed, and just, shh, you need me to tell you when you are not oppressed. And I was like, yep, nailed it.
Very true. Very true. No.
So yeah, but it's I think there's a lot of people are getting tired of it. And it's kind of cool to see a bit of a pushback now.
Good, yeah.
It's weird to see, because when I grew up, we're same age, but it was the Republicans that were screaming to cancel like TV shows, like big, like Family Guy.
Well,
like they used to,
the parties have switched.
It's weird. Like the Republicans were the ones that canceled Family Guy. But today, if Family Guy was on TV, it'd be the liberals canceling it.
Yeah.
It's just so bizarre.
Yeah. No, the parties have switched, but there is hope. I have
Most
hope.
people are in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can definitely see that now.
Yeah. I think because, again, it's gone so crazy that everyone's just like, can we just shut the fuck
Well,
up?
it's like life is a pendulum.
Yes.
We're right here. There's nowhere else for us to go. We have to come back down.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll come back down sooner rather than later before my kid goes to school.
We'll see. We've got a few years.
Oh, jeez.
All right, cool. Sorry. So that's actually been 2 hours.
What?
Told you. But yeah, I mean, we could talk for ages. I really enjoyed this. I hope you did too.
Thank you. No, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of cool things. I've never actually done like a long podcast like this where you just kind of like shoot the shit. But
Some weird stuff comes out, huh?
It does.
I feel like I learned so much I wasn't expecting about you. Like, your father is like a heartbreaking but amazing story.
I know. I don't like go with a sign on my head like, hey. But yeah, so like it's really cool. I've never done this before, and I really appreciate you having me on. I can't believe that it's already holy crap.
It's like, holy shit, I know, I've got to get home for a meeting. So anyone who's interested, in finding out more about you, where can they find you?
So I'm actually terrible at social media, but I have one, obviously. It's Chiney Dolly, and I'm not changing my name. It's CHINEY_DOLLY.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And that'll be the link will be in the description if you're listening to Spotify or on YouTube.
Yeah.
And follow her. She's a wild child. And when are you going back to racing or?
Oh, I will.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. There's no plans. I mean, she's 3 months, but I know that I want her to start go-karting, and I still have a car, and my husband knows that I'm going to start back again.
Yeah.
So maybe in a couple years when she's old enough to come with me and for us to actually share that.
Do you still do it leisurely and stuff?
No, I just don't. Right now, I just had a kid.
That is true. I forget about that.
Yeah, 3 months. She's still a baby. So, and then we also want to have another kid. So I just have to quickly
because
because we're not.
occasional, like just around the track.
Yeah, I
You
should.
know, like go 80 miles instead of 100.
I should. Nah, there's no
No point.
You can't go halfway. So, yeah, no. I after I have the second one, then I'll really start. And my husband knows. He's like, yeah, no, that'd be great. You can share that with our kids, and that'd be something fun to do. So maybe after, and that's why I kind of just do interior design right now. It's something fun for me. I can have a creative outlet.
Yeah,
So.
you're totally gonna be that crazy cool mom. Like you're like eventually it'll either like your kids will be like my mom's really cool or like she's so embarrassing.
Basically,
like, come on,
and
kids.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Well, guys, if you're not subscribed, make sure you do. There's always cool people like Chiney Dolly.
Who is that?
Chiney Dolly?
Chiney Dolly.
Chiney Dolly. Sorry. It's Miss Chin. You screwed me up. I was
There
thinking
you go.
Miss Chin.
Miss Chin.
Chiney Dolly.
Call me Miss Chin.
So yeah, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the bell notification too so that you don't miss out on stuff. So yeah, thanks again, dude.
Awesome.
That was fun.
Cheers. Thank you.
Right. Bye, guys. Alrighty.
That's crazy. 2 hours does go by really fast.
So quick, huh?